Hello, welcome to Unboxed God, where we detox from religion and discover the God who refuses to fit inside the boxes we were given. I'm Tolu Sarah Johnson, and here we explore who God really is, beyond fear, beyond formula, and beyond everything we were taught to perform. If you're hungry for a real relationship with Him, you are in the right place. Let's dive in. So, still on the same book, Father, make me yours alone, becoming God's robot, not by force, but by love. And this is now going to be chapter 20, which is losing nothing, finding everything. When you surrender, God resurrects greater. The surprising realization at the end of a surrender life is this: you never lose anything by giving God everything. The flesh believes surrender is death. Heaven knows surrender is multiplication. This is the culmination of union with God, where your will and His move in harmony, not by force, but by love. You discover the astonishing truth that God is trying to strip you, is trying to elevate you, not trying to diminish you, is trying to transform you, not demanding loss, is inviting resurrection. The path of surrender is the path of finding everything you were created for. So, what is the necessity of the cross? Every believer eventually faces deepest demands of discipleship. God wants everything, not because He's greedy, but because only what is fully surrendered can be divinely transformed. He doesn't want half of you. The cost is total. And I think maybe that's why some people like to dig in one leg and one leg out. God's friends, His closest companions, have always been those who were all in. This is why Jesus said to the rich young ruler, sell all you have, sell it, not because God despised wealth, but because the man's wealth owned him. True union demands the daily crucifixion of the flesh, laying down pride, control, ego, addiction, entitlement, fear, and the instinct to protect your own life. And self-will feels heavy because it was never designed to be carried. People cling to the illusion that they can control outcomes, everything in their life, managing relationships, manipulating situations, nursing private sins, or building their own future. The self-effort is the real body. The soul becomes tired, anxious, defensive, and spiritually dehydrated. Religion fuels this exhaustion. Relationship extinguishes it. And that is why God promised redemption. Even the most painful losses, loss of dreams, loss of relationship, loss of dignity, loss of loved ones, are not wasted in God's economy. Every suffering that drives you to surrender becomes the soil in which resurrection grows. Your life bears witness to this. Your hardest season, like for me, was the death of my husband. Me trapped in religion for 24 years, suffocating without knowing. But this crushing weight of grief became the furnace of refining for me, shaping me into someone heaven now trusts for profound assignment. So your loss become your doorway. Your pain become your promotion. Your surrender become your new beginning. And that is why God never subtracts without multiplying. He never asks for a seed without planning a harvest. He never permits death without planning resurrection. Sometimes surrender means letting go of a dream you beg God to fulfill. Matthew's longing for a second earthly wife, his desire for a massive itinerant ministry, that is a big ministry, his hope to preach to nations on earth. None of this unfolded as he imagined. But God resurrected them in a far greater dimension. Instead of a wife, God gave him an angelic companion called Bethany. Instead of earthly fame, God made him an international teacher in heaven. Instead of stadiums on earth, God gave him a heavenly audience who learns from his life and words every day. His dreams wasn't denied. It was transformed and resurrected into something eternal. This is the divine algebra. You surrender one dream, God returns a destiny. And purpose found in loss. Yes, your own story might have been the same, where you've gone through a loss, and through that loss was the moment where God began to rewrite the story of your calling. So, the God who allows heartbreak does not abandon the heart. He rebuilds it stronger, deeper, wiser, and more radiant. Nothing was wasted, not your tears, not your confusion, not your years in religious bondage, not your grief. Wherever you might have experienced, nothing is wasted. Looking back now, every loss became a plank in the bridge that now carries me into this assignment I am now. So, surrender shifts your vision from earthly accumulation to eternal storage. Earthly achievement fades, earthly applause dies, earthly rewards decay, but heaven keeps account of every selfless act, every gift, every sacrifice, every kindness that cannot be repaid. Surrender transforms earthly seeds into heavenly wealth. So, the moment you finally give God everything, you step into the realm of everything you actually wanted, even if it arrives in a different resurrected form. Yes, surrender creates the deepest peace a human can experience, a supernatural quietness that does not depend on circumstance, a joy that fluctuating seasons cannot steal. It is the freedom of someone who has walked out of a prison they did not know they lived in. So, God is with you. Your highest reward is God himself. It's not the gift, but the giver. It's not the miracle, but the intimacy. It's not the answer prayer, but the relationship. This is the treasure that cannot be measured, stolen, or lost. And overall, your identity is transformed. Surrender resurrects identity. Your old self dies. Your true self rises. Your will becomes unified with ease. Your yes becomes instant. Your heart becomes his own. This is the fulfillment of your destiny, the reason you were created in the first place. So, let's look at the analogy of the parable of the seed and the harvest. The spiritual logic of losing nothing, finding everything is best understood through the ancient truth Jesus revealed. A seed must die to multiply. Yes, the loss. When the farmer buries a seed, it looks like loss. The seed disappears into darkness. It is covered, hidden, unseen. But it is not dead. It is surrendered. Then the death. The seed outer shell breaks apart. Its form destroyed. Its independence surrendered. Its protective layers stripped away. This is the believer's cross. This is the death of self. This is what surrender feels like. So, there comes the multiplication. The seed rises not as one, but as many, 30, 60, 100-fold. So what looked like loss was actually the beginning of abundance. So it is with you. What you surrender to God does not die. It transforms. it multiplies. It resurrects into something internal. You lose nothing. You find everything. I hope you've been blessed.